Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about what can go wrong when you buy a Porsche Macan, and also the things to look out for and how to spec your Porsche Macan. So my Porsche Macan is a 2018 model year car, and when I was looking at the Porsche Macan, I had a few things in mind that I wanted my car to be specced with. Now, being a Porsche, you will always end up seeing that no two Porsche Macans are the same. The options list is so extensive that you'll see one car fully loaded with all the options, and then you'll see another car which might have half of those options. So for me, it was all about having a car that fits, my kind of specification of what I wanted. Now, believe it or not, things like parking sensors and reversing camera are an option, so I definitely wanted that on my car. I also wanted the lovely panoramic glass roof because it gives in the right amount of light, brings that in, and it really livens the cabin up. I wanted the 20-inch alloy wheels, and again, you got a huge range of alloy wheel designs. I wanted obviously heated seats, being like leather interior. Heated seats is an option. And then I also wanted the chrono package, which from what I saw, there was very few cars that came with the sports chrono pack. So those were my top 5 options that I really wanted. Then moving on to the reliability of these cars, I generally found that most of these Porsche Macans from owners clubs on the various kind of groups, Facebook groups, forums and whatnot, most of them are pretty much trouble free. But one of the main things that they all suffer from, or will suffer from, is the transfer box or the transfer case. Now, my car has only got 20,000 miles or just under, and I've had it for about 2 months, and in those 2 months I have done about 2,000 miles. We've already had the transfer box replaced under warranty. I found it really odd because I bought this car as an approved used car. It had gone through the 115 point check or whatever that is as an approved used car check, and looking back at the paperwork, it was checked to say that there was no issues with the transfer case or the transfer box. Since I bought the car, I always found that the car was juddery, and it was kind of skipping, and it was kind of like grabbing. Those are the 3 main things that I would say: skipping, grabbing and juddering, in the gears. So for example, you're pulling away, whether it's uphill or whether it's on the flat, and as the car goes through, or the gearbox fires through the first gear, second gear and third gear, it felt like it was just gripping onto like the road. Initially I kind of thought it's probably the tires, because the tires are quite new, and I thought that maybe it's just trying to find traction. But then I thought, nah, it can't be, because it just feels like it's the gearbox. Now, the transfer box, it's pretty much like it's a transfer box, and it fits at the back end of the gearbox, and it transfers the gearbox speed through to the driving wheels of this car, and that's going to be transferring the power to the rear and the front. So I'll throw some pictures in now anyway of what it looks like, but it looks like it's like a bit of a diff. So you got the shaft that comes in from the gearbox, which then goes into the transfer box, and then it kind of rotates the power. I suppose I'm not hugely technically minded to give you a full in-depth review in terms of what a transfer box works like, but from the gist of it, it transfers the gearbox speed across into the driving wheels. So I started realizing that this car had that kind of an issue, and the other kind of symptoms that it developed was that when the car was in reverse and you got it on a lock and you're reversing, say you're doing a parallel park, whatnot, you could hear a lot of clunking noises going on from right beneath, like say the driving seat. And when you got the window down as well, you could always hear how the car was maneuvering and all of the kind of crunching of the transfer box. So I definitely knew that something's not right there. Now, some of you guys that have been following the channel for quite a while, especially since I bought this car, I went down to Exeter from Birmingham, which is 160 odd miles south, to obviously buy this car. Now, I was not going to go and take the car back down there just to get this problem sort of sorted or kind of looked at or diagnosed. So I had to go and take it to my local dealership, which is like say 5 miles away from where I live. And what I had to do was, I was a little bit kind of skeptical, and I was probably worrying a little bit, because I'm kind of thinking, I bought the car from Exeter, I know it shouldn't really matter, it's got like a 2-year approved used warranty, and that warranty should be fine wherever you go. I did get in touch with my dealership in Exeter where I bought the car, the supplying dealership, and they said the same thing. They're like, look, you've got a 2-year Europe-wide warranty on the car, so you shouldn't really have a problem. You should just take it to your local dealership. So anyway, I took it to the local dealership and I explained to them the symptoms, and I pretty much explained the grabbing, the juddering, and also the kind of skipping sensation that you get when the car is moving. The skipping was to a point where you got the car turned on full lock, and even if you're maneuvering forward, it was kind of skipping. Now you got to bear in mind that there's an effect called the Ackerman effect. Now what that essentially does is when your tires are turned, your inner tire is going to turn at a slightly different speed to your outer tire, so there is going to be a little bit of suspension geometry that's going to give the car a bit of a skip. And that didn't really worry me because I've had that with my M4, I've had it with my M140i, I've had it with my Civic Type R's and various other cars, so I'm used to that, especially when the car is cold. What I wasn't used to was how aggressive this skipping was, even if it was classed as the Ackerman effect, because it was very, very aggressive, and especially when you're reversing as well. The noises were really unpleasant, so it really did feel like, you know, the car's about to break. A lot of the skipping, like say, and the grabbing sensation when you're driving and pulling away didn't happen when the car was cold, but when the car was really up to temperature, say you've done like, say, I don't know, a 5 or 6 mile trip and you're parked up at traffic lights and then you put your foot down, it would feel like there's a lot of this. It's like, it felt like the car was on square wheels and it was just like grabbing and, you know, kind of like sort of, it just wasn't really pleasant. So anyway, I took it to my local dealership and I explained the whole situation to them, how long I've had the car and issues that I've had. They then obviously took it on the road test, you know, in the afternoon when the car was cold, and then they rang me and they basically said, we can't really find anything wrong with it, which was really annoying. So again, I kind of said, look, get the car up to temperature and, you know, get it running, get it hot, and then you'll obviously realize. Now the thing with the transfer box is that it's such a common issue with the Porsche Macans that Porsche themselves have extended the warranty on the transfer box for 7 years. So if you go and you buy yourself an early model Porsche Macan, like a 2014 privately, you know, from Joe Blogs, your car won't be under any warranty, approved used or whatnot, but if your transfer box fails, that part would be under warranty. So Porsche will actually fix that for you free of charge, or they should do anyway. It's all over the forums, and I'm sure there's like a Porsche campaign out there. So when I explained that to the service advisor, very quickly after about another 10 minutes he rang me up and he said, yep, we've been able to fault, you know, the symptoms, and it is the transfer case and we'll have that swapped out for you. Then there was like a little bit of a delay in terms of getting the part over and, you know, getting the car rebooked in over a couple of days, in a couple of days time, to then have that part swapped over. That part, as you can see in these pictures, looks very similar, but the new part has some new baffles within it. So essentially what tends to happen with the transfer box is that when it heats up, and obviously it would heat up, it starts to wear out the clogs and the gears and the chain within it. So with the new part, it's got some kind of cooling baffles within it, so, you know, you're not really gonna get any of like the overheating issues with the new transfer box, which will hopefully last as long as the car. So this is like a new part, and what I will do is I'll put the part numbers in the description for you guys, so you can go and, you know, put them across to, you know, your dealership if you're having these issues. But hopefully that is the only issue that I've actually had with my Porsche Macan. Now it's a bit alarming because the car's only done like, you know, 19,000 miles and I'm already having like a transfer box issue. I know there'll be many of you guys out there looking into this video and probably thinking you should just reject the car and all of that. I'll be honest, if this issue keeps on coming back, then yes, you know, I'll go down that route, but really you've got to give the benefit of the doubt to your supplying dealership or to a dealership where, you know, you've taken your car for them to rectify the issue, which in this case they have. I know that, you know, again, this is quite an expensive car and you shouldn't really have these kind of issues, but it is what it is. the dealership have managed to sort the issue out with the new transfer box. And yeah, for me, I'm just going to keep an eye out on it to see if there's, you know, if it actually resolves the issues that I've had. I've done about, I don't know, 700 or 800 miles since the new transfer box. It seems to be flawless, and the drive is much smoother, picks up speed really nicely, there's no skipping, and in fact even that Ackerman effect has kind of gone as well. So, you know, it's a bit of a win-win situation there for me, I suppose. But yeah, all I wanted to say in this vid was, you know, if you are looking to buy one of these cars, regardless of spec, regardless of age, things that will tend to go wrong with them, you know, is going to definitely be the transfer case. There are sort of reports that I've read about oil leaks on these engines and whatnot. Again, just keep an eye out, and if your car is fairly new or under an approved use warranty, I'm sure they'll be able to sort those out. But yes, if you are buying a car which is outside of its manufacturer's warranty, you won't have an issue with the transfer box because that's on an extended 7-year warranty. However, any other issues, you know, you might have to like fork out of your own pocket to fix. So hopefully guys, I've given you a little bit of insight in terms of what to expect with the Porsche Macan, in terms of reliability, in terms of if you're thinking of speccing it up, make a short list of like about 4 or 5 options that you really want to have on your car to source, you know, your Porsche Macan down in your search. And you know, hopefully you'll be able to, you know, enjoy one of these cars without too many problems. Hopefully guys, you have enjoyed this vid. Give it a like, share, subscribe to the channel, check me out on my Instagram, and hopefully guys, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye.